What if I showed you how to edit even faster? How to create effects, transitions, and captions in seconds? What if speed ramps and masking were just a single click? And what if you could see this in just one video? There's only one problem. We need better footage. So let's go get it. The first goal upon arrival was to capture footage. I put the Mavic 3 in the air and used the color adjustment tools, color wheels, and scopes to bring my log footage back to life. Before I raced, I wanted some cool pickup shots of the cars, and this was the first problem: how to convince the track manager to allow us to shoot as close as humanly possible without risking our lives. And I guess it went about as well as you would expect.
Don't go on the hot track and watch your back.
All right, pause, because the audio there, it really sucks. But I was basically pointing a shotgun mic at the ground with V12 cars racing in the background. Thankfully, CapCut has a fix for that. So all we need to do is go to the audio tab, click on Enhance Voice, and let's try that again.
If you guys end up getting hurt and you cost me my perfect reputation, you better just die, because if you don't, I'm killing both of you.
You got it. So when I showed up to the track, I had two goals. The first was to get some really awesome clips to use and edit in CapCut, but what I really wanted was to get in the car. So after knocking out some B-roll, grabbing some shots for an upcoming review, it was time to get to step 2. But for that, I needed some training. All right, so we're about to begin the training for the races. I've been here a few times before. I've actually driven this track in the camera car, but I've never raced it. So this will be the first time to take all of these cars up to speed. So we'll see how it works. So we just met Fred, who's the chief instructor and the lead instructor, and both of them are gonna take us for some rides on this. And I'm really nervous now because I have not driven a car at speed, and they're gonna push me. The other guys are probably gonna tell me to slow down. This guy's gonna make me go fast, and I'm definitely a little nervous about it. I was given a helmet, radio, and my co-pilot Fred, and now it was my turn to drive. All right, that was pretty crazy. I'm still kind of worked up, but I hit 125 on the straight, which is pretty impressive for the GT4. Mostly that car is just, it's cornering speed. You're not used to that. I'd spin out any other car other than that, so that was crazy. But man, I gotta do that again, maybe with a little more power next time. I think I'm good. All right, so now we're back in the studio, and I was able to get some time in the GT4, a 488, and a Huracan. So it was a pretty insane day, and everything that you've seen so far was actually edited in CapCut. So I'm gonna break down my edit and how I use it and a bunch of the features that I've used that just make this program so easy to edit in. So first, CapCut is completely free to download and start editing. You can fully export your projects. There's no watermarks. However, there are a few kind of advanced effects and transitions that if you want to use, they will require a pro subscription. The first couple of months that I used CapCut, I was just using the free version. But now I use it a lot, and there's some really cool effects that I want to show you guys in the pro version that allow you to do things in just a few clicks that you just couldn't do in other editors. And I do have another video showing, I guess, a little bit more of the basics of the timeline and layout of CapCut. So if you do want a little bit of an intro to CapCut Desktop first, check out that video right there. Now, the first question I usually get on CapCut is, can you actually use it for big projects? And the answer is yes. So here is my timeline. Obviously, my video isn't finished yet, so this is, I guess, an in-progress timeline right now. But I do have multiple video editing layers, multiple audio layers. We've got a ton of different effects on here. We have color grades, adjustment layers. So this is a pretty advanced edit right now, and we're doing it all in the CapCut desktop. And this is all really fast. So you can just scrub through all of your videos, you can move your in and out points, and then you can just drag and drop on the timeline, and everything plays back just extremely smooth. Even these are 4K 60 10-bit 422 files, and they have no problem playing back at all. I also really like that it shows you what clips you've actually used in your timeline. And if you want to do all of your trimming in the timeline, you can either just drag the endpoints, or you can do a simple cut, or what I like to do, which is a little bit faster, I think, is do a delete left or delete right using the Q and W shortcut keys. But where I think CapCut really excels even more is with speed and just giving you really relevant tools for social media edits especially. So there are just a ton of features on these, and all of them can be applied in seconds. Like if you were trying to do these effects in like Premiere or DaVinci, you'd be spending 10 times longer, probably going to YouTube for tutorials and probably heading to After Effects for like especially these advanced masking and tracking shots. So let's kind of break down everything that I've used in my edit. So once you have your video in the timeline, you can just click on it and pretty much everything happens in this box in the top right corner. So I'll work my way through it. So we have position and scaling, plus do note you have keyframes, so you can get some really advanced editing options in here. Blend mode, stabilization, I use this one quite a bit, so you can just click and it will have you stabilize your video. Plus you have noise reduction, flicker removal, auto reframe, motion blur, and this is the basic tab, and these are things that you just can't do in editors like Premiere at all. Now I don't use these as much, but you also have cutout, you have masking, and you have enhance. And this last one, enhancing, so I don't know how, but somehow they can track and edit basically any feature on a person you can think of. So if you want to do skin retouching on a moving subject, you can just go crazy on how you look. It's like 2 clicks to do it all. Also, if you want a green screen, all of that is going to be here. You probably don't need to because their auto cutout feature is so good. It can pull you out of pretty much any background, even when your camera is moving. And if you're on some pretty crazy complex backgrounds, you can just use one of these stroke features and it'll pretty much hide any imperfection. Or if you just want to paint out something like a sky or a window, you can use these masking brushes right here. So I was actually able to paint out the projector screen. And this is a moving video and it tracked the mask, and I could throw another video of a car into that frame. Now audio has also gotten so much better, and you saw how I used the voice enhancer. You also have noise reduction, but if you want to get some crazy effects on here, so if I wanted to simulate like my voice in the radio headset of the car, I can do that as well. Now I definitely use speed ramps quite a bit. You'll know that if you watch any of my IG videos especially, but look how easy this is. So I can just click over on curve and you have all of these presets, and typically I'm using the bullet preset and then just modifying my points as needed depending on the speed that I want. But in a few seconds you have a perfect speed ramp. Now animations, these are really interesting. They're basically like transitions that you can apply to just a single clip. And there's some really good ones in here. You can do in point, out points, or just combos on them. And you'll see a couple of them say pro on them. So those are the ones that will require a subscription, but there are a ton that don't. And you can use any of those completely free. I'll use these pretty often when I want to just make a clip a little bit more dynamic. Now the last one I used is going to be the adjustment, and this is where you can do all of your coloring. However, I'll typically just drag on an adjustment layer, and then I'll do the majority of my coloring on that adjustment layer. And then if I need to modify an individual clip, this is where you can tweak it on a case-by-case basis. But if you only have one clip, you can basically do all of your adjustments inside of this. So the top right corner is kind of where I do most of the initial editing, and then this top left corner is kind of where I do some of that secondary tweaking, editing, and effects like that. So you have audio first up. You can select music in here. I would say if you're using this mostly for like TikTok and maybe IG Reels, these music tracks are going to be fine. But YouTube has some pretty strict copyright rules. So I'd make sure you're using music from a legit like music licensing service. I have one that I use, linked in the description below. But I will occasionally use these sound effects. So I did use like the glitch effect and a couple other ones inside of this video. Now text, you could do a 30-minute video just on text because it is so powerful, but you have all of these text presets. Some of them are going to be already animated, but if you just click on it, you have all of your text parameters. You have just endless effects and animations that you can throw on these text layers. So I use the typewriter effect in the beginning of my video, but you can just click on it. And if you want to modify like the in and out points and how the effect is actually applied, you can do all of it in there. But here's where it goes crazy. So you can actually just type something in and have an AI voice read it out to you. So if you want to do AI voiceovers, it's built in. You have AI characters in here that can read it for you. You also have just a really good auto captioning system. So I can just click one button and it will create captions for my entire project. And it will create these on a new layer as well. And maybe you want to change like the font size or font color. You can just make those changes and make sure this apply to all is going to be checked. And that means that that is going to be updated to all of your captioning. So captioning animated titles, that takes maybe like a minute or two, which is crazy. Now, I don't use stickers personally, but I do use these effects, and there are hundreds of effects in here. Thankfully, you can actually click right here and make one of these your favorite, because if you didn't, you could spend hours going through this list because there are just so many. Also, there are these body effects, and basically what this is doing is just masking out the person and then applying a different type of effect to the background than the subject. And this is crazy. Like, this would take hours to do this on a couple of clips inside of like After Effects or something like that, and you're able to do it in seconds automatically right inside of here. And these aren't even transitions. Like, if you want to go to transitions, this is an entirely separate category. And again, hundreds of different transitions in here. Unfortunately, you cannot make any of these favorites. So I do actually spend a long time kind of going through these transitions every time I want to add them to my project. But this is just absolutely amazing. Like, I'm not proud of this, but I have probably spent what would be the cost of a 1-year membership of CapCut on just a single transition pack for like Premiere and DaVinci. And honestly, a lot of those for me just never worked perfectly. Now, if you guys want to learn more about CapCut, hit me up in the comments, because I'm actually working on a video going into a lot more detail on how to use some of my favorite features and effects. And appreciate the like, sub if you guys want to see more of this. And I posted a bunch of like behind the scenes from all of these shoots over on IG, so you can hit me up there. Hope you guys are doing amazing, and until next time.